Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, Car Clinic affiliates. Your Car Clinic minutes for the week of October 9th, 2017 are about to head your way. So go ahead and press that record button. As always, thank you for broadcasting and listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Have a great weekend.
Hi, this is Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. When you hear Mummy Dummy, do you think of tales from the crypt or tombs in ancient Egypt? Well, remove the wrap from your eyes. When I come back, you'll see how mummies affect automotive safety.
O'Reilly. When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Mummy dummies may have been cool in ancient Egypt, but today's version vies for the seventh wonder of the modern world. These high-tech creations, pregnant female dummies, which allow researchers to better understand how a mother and her unborn baby can be affected in a crash, come in two models, real and virtual. While the University of Michigan developed Mama to Be, a physical prototype, Volvo boasts the world's first computerized mommy. Together, these no-dummy mummies may help manufacturers improve structural designs and save lives. Well, that about wraps up this Car Clinic Minute. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. Anyone who's ever parked their car on an incline knows getting parked is just half the job. Getting out of park can be just as challenging. Do you know the trick? When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Here's how to avoid Heartbreak Hill, ensure your car stays put while it's parked on an incline, and avoid the frustration of a shift lever that just won't budge when you're ready to go. Simply apply the parking brake, then put an automatic transmission in park, or a manual transmission in reverse gear. This puts the weight of the car right where it belongs, on your brakes. And remember, turn your wheels toward downhill curbs and away from uphill curbs. These tips can save you frustration and protect favorite property, your car. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. The old adage goes, you can't judge a book by its cover. But with repair shops, I beg to differ. There are ways to identify a professional service center and a little shop of horrors. When I come back, I'll tell you.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
On Valentine's Day, love might be blind, but at service shops, keep your eyes wide open. First, do some recon. Contact the Better Business Bureau and ask friends for report cards on shops they use. Then, call prospective shops. Are people responsive? If they don't have time for you now, imagine when there's a problem. Also, pay shops a visit. Look for a well-maintained organization and look out for a dirty, cluttered environment. Yes, to avoid heartbreak at repair time, initially judge service centers like other professionals by reputation, responsiveness, and self-respect. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with today's Car Clinic Minute. The warm beach sand. Great for playing volleyball, strolling hand in hand, and building sandcastles. But if you get stuck in it, it's no picnic. When I come back, I'll give you the scoop.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Like the expression suggests, spinning your wheels just gets you nowhere but deeper in trouble. Here's what to do. If your car sunk less than axle level, let some air out of your tires and gently ease forward. Then let your car roll back. Repeat this ease forward, roll back rocking until you've carved out a little runway. Then, with wheels straight, gently throttle out of the hole. But if you're in so deep your undercarriage is resting on the sand, too late. Keep cool while you wait for the tow truck. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us. Hi, I'm Bobby Likis with another Car Clinic Minute. Today we're on an entomology field trip, observing uninvited guests infesting your car. Don't break out the raid just yet, because when I come back, I'll show you how to take this pest to the cleaners.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's everywhere. Junk in the trunk, trash on the dash, and litter literally everywhere in between. Looks like you've got a bad case of clutter bug. But the prognosis is good if you analyze and immunize. Analyze. Pretend you're selling your vehicle and take everything out. Carefully evaluate what you put back in and where you put it, cause even flashlights can be dangerous projectiles if stored on the dash. Then immunize. Exterminate clutter bugitis forever by sanitizing breeding grounds. That means resist leaving even one fast food bag in your car. Instead, give it a proper burial in a trash can and not on the street. I'm Bobby Likis. Like us, you'll love us.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this edition of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Right along with me this hour, and we'll have some car fun, and I'll share with you some information about EV cars and new battery technology. And there's no doubt, and I say this from a standpoint of being an individual in the automotive industry who really loves the internal combustion engine. And that's ICE, internal combustion engine. But I got to tell you that the EVs are creeping into the scene. Look what Elon Musk has started. And of course, he didn't start it, but he certainly reinvigorated and refreshened the fact that EVs are and will become part of our transportation. So I'll share that with you. And also for those of you who have children that are in car seats, we have an interesting guest a little later in the program today, and we're going to hear about how you should properly connect your child to the car seat. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by General Tire and its innovative replacement tire monitor technology, providing you with a warning when the tire is worn and needs to be replaced. It's way cool, it's easy, and it's very ingenious. Drive to generaltire.com for more information. Also proud to say that this program is brought to you in part by the Car Care Council, reminding you that October is Fall Car Care Month. You can visit carcare.org to learn how you can keep your vehicle safe, dependable, and on the road longer. Back with your calls. Folks, the Car Care Council reminds you that October is Fall Car Care Month. There's no better time to perform a thorough check of various maintenance items: brakes, battery, tires, cooling system, filters, headlights, the exhaust system. These are just a few things to consider. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe, dependable, and on the road longer. It's Fall Car Care Month. Are you car care aware? Learn more at carcare.org. That's carcare.org.
O'Reilly.
When your battery goes dead, everything can come to a stop. Don't take a chance on getting stranded. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts and get your battery tested free of charge. If your battery does need to be replaced, O'Reilly Auto Parts can help you find the exact Superstart battery that fits your car or truck at a guaranteed low price. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Let's dive into another Car Clinic email. Dear Bobby, my vehicle has just gone out of warranty. It has 48,000 miles, and now all maintenance is my responsibility. Can you suggest a maintenance checklist? I'd like to keep this vehicle long-term. Assuming your vehicle is about 4 years old and has just under 50,000 miles on the odometer, we suggest starting with the fluids. Think brake fluid, transmission fluid, and of course coolant. The cooling system is often overlooked. While coolant and cooling systems have evolved through the years, they still need service. Have the cooling system flushed and refilled with a proper antifreeze coolant for your specific vehicle, and inspect all belts and hoses. And don't forget the thermostat and radiator cap. Complete the system service with a new Stant Superstat and a new Stant radiator pressure cap. This is a great way to extend the life of all cooling system components and add reliability to your vehicle. Stant products meet or exceed OE quality in both fit and function. Learn more at stant.com. That's stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Rosie Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake, and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I will invite you to call. I would suggest that you get in early at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. I'll repeat it for you. 888-227-2546. Why would you call? Well, let's say that your car is in a shop or it needs to be in a shop or in another garage, not your garage, and you're having a problem with it. Number one, the car has, let's say, almost 100 or 100,000+ miles. You've had this vehicle 6, 8, 10 years. You're to the point where you're trying to decide if the car is worth keeping, and if so, you know through just time and age and the dirty word neglect, because that's right, we all, I don't know that we all do it, but too many car owners neglect their automobile because it runs well, it has a computer that tunes it, so whenever something's not quite right under the hood, the computer will help the engine to run better, whether it's a timing adjustment or a fuel adjustment, all those sorts of things, until the computer sees that it's too far above or out of the window, the threshold of being within its tolerance. And that's when the check engine light will come on. And so many times, unless the check engine is flashing, that check engine light, you can just continue to drive that car. And I know people that, have actually put a piece of black tape over the light, which is a no-no. That's and the reason, folks, that light's there is that's the only way that the manufacturer can warn you that there's a problem with the automobile. Now, the manufacturer could make it so that the car just quit running whenever the light came on. And to that end, if you have a diesel and you need the exhaust fluid that's used to clean up the deposits after the fact, because particulate matter is pretty bad. The soot in a diesel is pretty bad. So if you run out of this fluid, then the light will come on and it will be slow to start. And then finally, and BMW was one of the first ones that actually put this series and this program in their diesel-powered cars, the car will get to a point where it will not start and run because you are driving the car way out of the emissions laws. So there's a lot going on under the hood. It's so technical that you really don't need to know about it, but you do need to know that for you, there's a way that you can be proactive about automotive service and repair. And, so okay, now that we have that message, what's the next message? Well, find a local shop in your area, in your city, your town, whether it's rural out in the country or whether it's, in a city. You need to find a car doctor. And when I say that, find an automotive service facility that's, number one, qualified to work on your particular make of automobile. Independent shops work on all different cars, but independent shops are not necessarily qualified to work on everything that rolls. Now, there are exceptions because if you've been in the business for a long time, you will have, over time, worked on everything that rolls. I say that because we've been in the automotive service industry, the business rather, for 47 years, and that's a long time. In fact, March of 2018, March 11, we will be 47 years. So we're 46 years going on 47 years, 26 years right here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic radio. So, and I hesitate to say radio because now it's social media and it's Watch Bobby Live, but by and large, we started as a radio broadcast, and we are to my knowledge, the only self-syndicated, nationally syndicated radio broadcast program in America. And we were chosen, and I have the honor of being the recipient of being the Talkers 250. And the Talkers 250 is Michael Harrison started that organization, and it really is the Bible of talk radio. And every year, Michael and his team will choose the top 250 talk radio hosts across the nation. And obviously, you have Rush Limbaugh and Hannity; those are the guys that are in the top. But just for your information, and also for mine, I was honored with the automotive talk host of for 5 years in a row, the only automotive talk host on commercial radio in America. And that's an honor that I don't take lightly, and it's based on longevity, and it's based on success, and it's based on number of stations, and all those things that have to do with staying and having the passion to stay over the long haul. And that's really what it's all about. I'm going to take your calls at 888 Car Clinic. Miss Hannah will, and then we'll put you in the queue, and then I will put you on the air. I see that Stan is in the queue, so I want to go to Stan. I want to remind you that Dyson, you know, the vacuum cleaner guy, right? Well, he is investing billions in building a radically different electric car. So, you hear about this being EVs, and Lord knows we've talked about Elon Musk enough on this program, but the guy is a visionary. That's an understatement. But Dyson has really announced that the company is developing an electric vehicle that promises to be radically different to the current designs. And the company founder, Sir James Dyson, revealed recently that he's investing around. I'll leave the figure out, but in the project, he's adding that a 400-strong engineering team, that's 400 folks, has been working on the electric car for the last 2 years at his headquarters in the UK in Wiltshire. Now, how much money? $2.7 billion. So, that's a commitment. So it's going to be really interesting. Obviously, he is so successful that he wants to make a mark in his lifetime, and it appears that he wants to do it in the EV field. Anyway, a little more information on that I'll share with you a little bit later, but let's go to Stan first. And Stan, welcome to Bobby Likis, or actually welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Always glad to have you in the house, sir.
Well, thank you very much, sir. It's always good to be here. As we look at Nate's focusing in on the Florida, or on the Louisiana coast, I guess, and think about, I thought, well, I now had the cancellation, so I'm going to actually get to hear you talk live, because I often listen to your podcasts because I have other activities. But I'm calling today just in response to a program that came out, an article, USA Today. It said deadly car crashes hit 9-year high. And what they're saying is that we've got safer and safer and safer, and all of a sudden, whoops, it's going back up, and they're trying to figure it out. And in the article, it brought several things to my conscience I thought I'd discuss with you, which is they're talking about all the crash avoidance, all the technology that's in the car now. And if I recall correctly, we're driving on average 11-year-old cars in the U.S. Is that right?
11.2 actually, Stan. Yes, and so that new technology that you and I and a lot of our listeners and viewers are familiar with, or at least have heard about, really, the V2V, the vehicle-to-vehicle crash avoidance, that's not on the road yet. It's like Tesla. And again, I have a lot of admiration for this individual. And friends of mine recently said, we want to buy an SUV, and so we're going to get the Tesla. And I said, well, they're not on the road yet. And he said, oh yeah, he's already delivering them. Well, he's delivered like 250, I think, nationally. So in the big scheme of things, if you wanted a Tesla of that car today, you just couldn't. You'd have to get in line and wait. And granted, here's a company that hasn't made any money and they're doing well in the stock market. And to that end, I'm going to share a little bit later in the program some interesting tidbits about Ford Motor Company and GM and what they're doing and with the changes of management that really are looking toward in the future. And that's what you're talking about, Stan. You're talking about the V2V, the vehicle-to-vehicle crash avoidance and all those things. But I got to tell you, as you said, it's 11.2. The average age of automobiles on the roads, 11.2 years. And I got to tell you, my 13-year-old my 2013 car, the electronics on that car, let's see what's great about it. It has StabiliTrak, so it has ABS, and it has the ability to right itself if I'm overzealous or if I'm in the rain, and I overstep my traction control, and then it will take charge of the engine. But in the big scheme of things, it doesn't have lane warning device. It doesn't have automatic steering. It doesn't have the automatic brake application, and it is a 2013 automobile. So you think about that, it's what, 4 years old. So we're looking at 11.2 years old. So Stan, let me ask you to hold, because I need your input, or I'd love to hear your input on where we're going to go with safety. So folks, don't go away. And by the way, 888 Car Clinic, it's a good time for you to get in. Stan, I'll come back with you. And folks, take your calls at 888-227-2546. I'm Bobby Likis with today's Vehicle Maintenance Spotlight, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's a crash course in brake parts before you have a crash. Master cylinders distribute brake fluid to wheels. Calipers and wheel cylinders convert pressurized brake fluid into stopping power. Brake pads and shoes protect calipers from friction caused by stopping. To be safe, include your entire braking system in regular maintenance. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for a wide selection of quality brakes. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day.
O'Reilly. If it's hard to stop or you hear squealing and grinding noises during braking, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts. You'll find the brake parts you need from trusted brands like Brake Best Select, and Wagner Thermo Quiet at everyday low prices. Play it safe with brake parts from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices, every day.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We recently talked tire repair with General Tire's Senior Communications Specialist, John Robinson. John talked about when a tire is best suited for repair.
It depends on where the puncture is. If it's on the actual contact patch area, the center of the tire, then depending on how large the puncture is, chances are it can be repaired. If you're in the sidewall area, then you don't want to mess with that side. Those parts of the tire can be dangerous.
John then touched on how one might go about making the repair.
The best way to repair a tire is twofold. You've got the plug, and then you've got the patch from inside, where you actually take the tire off the rim and you patch it from the inside. That is somewhat rare these days, because a lot of times you'll see a plug just push through the tire while it's still on the rim, and that is not ideal.
The Grabber HTS60 provides the perfect synergy of comfort, durability, and performance for your light truck or SUV. The Grabber HTS60 StabiliTread creates a flatter and larger contact patch, which promotes more even wear and longer tread life. Take advantage of the 45-day trial and see what you think. Learn more at GeneralTire.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale, with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your hosts, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment. I started to say edition, but we're already into this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I remind you that every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, we come to you, and I'm here to share information and stories and answer your car questions. I don't know the answer to all car questions, but certainly what I love to do, and my goal is to provide for you buzzwords so that when you go to a local service shop, you know the right questions to ask, just like going to a doctor. You never think about the right questions, or even if you do, and make a list. When you leave there, you say, gosh, I wish I had. Of course, you wish you had known. So if you need to know, I can help you there because I'll give you those buzzwords. We're talking with Stan about car crashes and safety. So Stan, let me go back to you. And just also, just for you to know, Stan, a little bit later in the program, we're going to have Lori Walker from Safe Kids Worldwide, who is a car seat expert. So for all you moms and dads out there that strap your kids in, you're going to want to wait and stay tuned to this hour, because a little bit later on we're going to have her calling in, and she's going to share with us some great information about that. So back to you, Stan. I'll turn the mic over to you now.
Okay, well, thank you. I was noticing another couple of things in this article said that a large percentage of the fatalities occurred because people weren't using seat belts, and things that don't have anything to do with the wonderful technologies that we've got. And how do you stop people from from themselves? How do you protect them from themselves?
That's a good question. It is a good question. I mean, we have buzzers. In fact, my car has a very annoying beep, and if you don't hook the seatbelt up, it will beep, and then it'll stop, and you say, oh, thank gosh, it stopped. Now, not that I don't use my seatbelt, because I do, categorically, without fail. I use my seatbelt. But occasionally my wife will get in the car, and I'm already buckled in and go, and then we take off. Well, she's still getting positioned and hasn't gotten her seatbelt on. She, too, always wears a seatbelt, but not as promptly as I when I pull out of the drive or away from a restaurant or wherever. And that buzzer will go off, and so finally, it's kind of funny to me, because I look over at her, and I know she said, and she'll hook that seatbelt up. But I just wonder sometime if it didn't have that, and the little smart car has that, and so does my car. So if those buzzers and beepers weren't on the car, we might all just, hey, it's okay, let it go. And I know some people that actually hook the seatbelt up behind themselves, and that's kind of, you never think about those things until it's too late, and then you say, I wish I woulda, coulda. So there you go. I don't know the answer to that. What do you think?
I think that all I have this morning is more questions without answers, because one of the things, as we said, all the technology that they quote in this article is defeated if we're talking about cars that were made in 2005.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So all the cars now. So really, how many new cars have these features, and at what point are these features installed in new cars? And of course, you have the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration that will mandate, like ABS brakes, that's mandated. Backup cameras, that's soon going to be mandated, if not already. So you say, well, gosh, we don't need a government forcing us, but by the same token, without having some regulations, just like EV cars, just like autonomous cars or self-driving cars, without having regulations, then we don't have standards. And if you have 10 different manufacturers doing their own thing, each one of them is going to have their own version of whatever they think is right. And the exception has to be in the V2V, the vehicle-to-vehicle crash avoidance. And to that end, some 4 or 5 years ago, right here on this program, I mentioned, and maybe it was 4 years ago, that in Detroit there's a $30 or $50 million project where all the manufacturers get together on this little small city, or test track, if you will, but it's a small city, so that they can test their vehicle-to-vehicle crash avoidance, and they're all using the same technology. And why? Well, because if you've got two cars that are imminently going to crash, and they're on different wavelengths, then you don't have a crash avoidance. So it's pretty simple, but sometimes politics do get in the way, obviously, and then manufacturers, Stan, they want to have their proprietaryship, and I'll give you a good example. About the only thing that I'm really dissatisfied with in my car is the technology in the stack, the center stack. I mean, the navigation system is so clunky. In fact, I was went to lunch with a friend who's driving a Lexus this week, and we all agreed, there were four guys in the car, we all agreed that, why couldn't we just take my phone and let the phone, because the phone, Siri does such a great job. Well, you can, because Apple came out with Apple CarPlay, if the car is compatible. My car's not compatible. And I'll tell you, I wish it were. I would pay $500 to jailbreak my car, which means to open up the architecture so I could hook my phone to it and see my phone on the screen. But the manufacturer says, well, we're not making a car to sell Apple phones. And I guess there's a point to that. Anyway, what do you think about Dyson getting into the EV business? $2.7 billion, really?
Well, I am flabbergasted, having been a part of the space race at Huntsville in the late 50s.
Right.
I have been in those rooms full of engineers, all trying to do their little bit to calculate how we're going to get into space, and I can see got that flashbacks of trying to figure out how to employ all those people to do something. So I think the more the merrier. Now, I do have a couple of comments, which is about safety.
Okay.
I'm thinking now we need to shift our thinking instead of the best economic advantage on cars. That is, how many years, when do we trade it in? When does it start breaking down and the cost of repairs becomes too high? Maybe we ought to be looking for when is there a significant shift in the safety technology and we bite the bullet and just upgrade to that. Because
but are you saying that we just reach a certain plateau and then all old cars are gone and new cars replace them? Because that's impossible, just from an economical standpoint. So, there's
talking about.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about personally. Like you get, as you see more and more advantages in your Jag become disadvantages, and you say, I've got to upgrade because I have some things I want, but I also have some things that I need. I need the V2V. I need the lane change. I need these features.
I'm with you. Well, I'm with you, Stan. I mean, to that end, I'd like to have V2V, but it's not available on my car. I would also, the next new car that I buy will have a heads-up display. And I drove the K900, if you remember, in a 15 that Kia sent to me for a week. And I can tell you right now, the electronics on that Kia were superior to my car. And mine's a 13. That was a 15 Kia K900. The heads-up display was the best I've ever seen. The navigation screen looked like that you had taken a picture of an exchange on where I-10 and I-110 come together, and it even had the signs up there. It was beautiful. It was easy to understand. It was intuitive. But that's not available. Let's go back to Dyson. Let me share this with you. Dyson did confirm that his team had yet to build a prototype, and what he's working on is a solid-state battery. So that's really where Dyson is going, and that's where he says it's radically different. He promised that his electric car would be radically different from anything that's gone before in the EV car market. And Stan, considering the amount of interest in that sector from all of the automakers, maybe Dyson brings in a good idea, but there's a serious amount of risk there. And to that end, that precious metals are being used now more and more in automobiles. And when we think about lithium batteries, we think about the precious metals. So you could go to the stock market and say, well, we're going to invest in the precious metals. Well, to me, about the time that you really had a significant number of dollars invested in that technology, somebody comes out with a holy grail. They come out with another battery that's a different technology, and what we know and what we think about being the future today, it shifts to something totally different tomorrow. You know, I will say this. It seems to me that if Dyson fails to bring his electric vehicle to market, he could just suck it up. But I didn't say that. Anyway, hey, it was always great to talk with you, man, and I appreciate your information on car safety, and I'd like for you to stick around and stay tuned, because Lori, she's in the queue now, and when we come back from the next break, I'm going to talk with her about Safe Kids Worldwide. And it's always great to get input from you folks out there. Stan, thank you so much today for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you for your show. Your blessing, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Appreciate that. 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. Gas prices? Okay. They are down in 9 of the 10 regions in the country. And the only region where the gas prices, this is from a week ago, I'm sorry, and the price is $2.56.5. But the Midwest, those prices are up from this time last week. Now, let's go from the same time this week to last year this week. And guess what? In every region of the country, gas prices are up. So, you know, what goes down, or what, as I say, what goes up must come down. Well, that may be true for heavy objects, but not necessarily true for gasoline prices. I can tell you what goes down is surely going to come back up. I think it's interesting that the EVs, the electric vehicles of the world, are obviously having some impact. Alternate fuels and renewable fuels are having some impact on the gasoline and oil, and just the world in general, and as we know it, and the new administration perhaps is having an effect on oil and oil prices, and just how much energy and effort and money that we put into importing oil. And what about not importing oil? What about drilling minus fracking? I would be for that. Okay, there's the music. Got a break. 888-227-2546. Get it in now. But when we come back, we'll talk with Lori Walker with Safe Kids Worldwide. Winter's around the corner. Checked your tires lately? Now through October 31st, General Tire is offering up to $70 on a prepaid Visa gift card when you purchase 4 qualifying tires, including new models like the G-Max AS05 and the Grabber APT. And General Tire continues to be on the cutting edge of technology with features like replacement tire monitor, smart grip, and visual alignment monitor. Visit GeneralTire.com and use the tire selector feature to find the tire that's best for your vehicle. That's GeneralTire.com.
Did you just look down at your phone? You did it again, didn't you? You know, you're flying down the road in a 3-ton hunk of steel, and a text takes your eyes off the road for an average of 5 seconds. At 55 miles per hour, that's long enough to travel the length of a football field and cause some serious damage. Turn it off. Trust me, whatever it is, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, That's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today. Call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic. With us on the hotline now is Lori Walker, car seat expert for Safe Kids Worldwide. And folks, throughout the world, almost 1 million children die of an injury each year, and almost every one of these tragedies is preventable. Safe Kids works with an extensive network of more than 400 coalitions in the U.S. and with partners in more than 30 countries to reduce traffic injuries, drownings, falls, burns, poisonings, and more. Since 1988, Safe Kids has helped reduce the U.S. childhood death rate from unintentional injury by 60%. Working together, we can do much more for kids everywhere. So, Lori, welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're happy to have you and Safe Kids Worldwide on our Car Clinic Global Cast.
Well, thanks. It's a pleasure to be with you, and I hope we can help some families today figure out how they can make their kids safer in the car.
Well, let's get started. Fill in our Car Clinic listeners and viewers about the new child passenger and car safety research Safe Kids Worldwide conducted.
Yeah, we're looking at something, a wonderful little tool that's on every car seat and has a counterpart in the car that you hook the two together and you get a safer ride for your kids. It's called a top tether. It's a strap that's at the back of forward-facing car seats that can be used with a harness. So that would be kids usually between the ages of 2 and maybe up all the way to 6 or 7 years of age. So these are forward-facing kids, not newborns, but forward-facing kids. And this top tether is already on your car seat. There's already an attachment in the car to hook it into. And yet we found that about 60% of families didn't know that they needed to use this. And it does make their child much safer. So we want people to know about it. We want them to know where to look for it in their car, how to find it on their car seat, and that they will not only use it themselves, but tell babysitters and grandparents and spouses, anybody that's transporting their child, to use it when they transport that forward-facing child.
Makes a lot of sense, Lori. What are some other common mistakes that parents make with child car seats?
You know, I'm really glad you asked that, because some of these little mistakes are so easily fixed if you just focus on them for just a minute or two. And we find that oftentimes parents may select the wrong car seat for their child. So they perhaps are using a car seat that's a booster seat, maybe for an older child, but they're using it for a younger one. So we want them to pick the right car seat. We want them to put it in the right place in the car. So that's a back seat. Any child under 13 should be riding in a back seat of the car. We want them to have the child harnessed correctly. And one of the things we see often is a harness that's used and not threaded through the right slot coming through the back of the car seat, and it's definitely too loose. We do something called the pinch test, so that once that harness is buckled, you shouldn't be able to pinch the webbing at the child's shoulder. And then the last thing that they often do is forget to install it correctly. And that means putting the seat belt or the lower attachments through it, tightening them, and then using the top tether for forward-facing kids, not necessary for rear-facing in most car seats, but adds so much protection for that older child. So those are the biggest mistakes that we see. We see them repeated all the time. And a car seat really shouldn't move more than 1 inch side to side or front to back when it's installed. So there's a little test that parents can do to be sure that they've done it right.
Wow, sounds like it really needs to be firmly secured to the seat. We're talking with Lori Walker, car seat expert for Safe Kids Worldwide. Lori, share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers some of the dangers of not having your child properly secure in a car seat.
Yeah, you know, one of the biggest concerns that we have are the number of kids where you know, you're just going a short distance, you don't think it's a big deal, and you want to just maybe take a chance and not use a car seat. The one thing that I see and hear occasionally from parents after they've been in a crash and they weren't restraining their children was, you know, I should have done. And I want to make it so that no parent ever has to say that. No parent ever has to look at a child who's now paralyzed or another injury where they've lost a spleen or they've been seriously injured with a head trauma, and they have to live with that as parents for the rest of their lives if they'd only used a car seat. These seats are so well designed. They are crash tested. They are designed for kids all the way up to well over 100 pounds, different uses for kids at different stages. But, you know, the adult seatbelt is designed for that, an adult, somebody who's 5'10", around 160 pounds. And think about it as your winter coat. I mean, those of you maybe in Hawaii or Florida can't really get into this, but a lot of parents will understand a winter coat will keep your child warm, but your winter coat keeps you warm. It's fitted just for you. A child needs one that's adapted for him or her. And that's what the car seat does with the adult seat belt. It takes that adult belt and modifies it so that the child gets the most beneficial protection from a harness, from the shell, from all those features that hold that child securely in the vehicle. So that's one of the biggest things is using the seat, having it, not keeping it in the trunk, not keeping it in the garage, but using it every single time. And then, you know, you've done everything you can do to make sure that your child is well protected. But that's my biggest beef is lots of times we get a little bit careless with we're only going down the block or I'm a good driver. And what people don't realize is that, you know, I may be a great driver, but you're coming at me and maybe you're in some way impaired. That makes it tough for everybody.
Well,
so use the seat, use it well.
And Lori, it's really tough if after the fact, if something happens, and you said it earlier, I wish I had, or what have you. And so, folks, you want to make sure that you learn more about child car seats. And Lori, where can our Car Clinic parents and caregivers learn more about child car seats?
Boy, am I glad you asked that. We have a website at safekids.org. That's all one word, safekids, SAFEKIDS.org. And you can learn about all those injury mechanisms such as drowning and falls and fires and all that, but especially about our motor vehicles. And then we have a separate website called the Ultimate Car Seat Guide, and that helps parents that are just getting started looking at, you know, how do I buy the right one? How do I fit the harness? And this is a lot of video in there, a lot of pictures to help people. And then how do I fix it so that I installed it right? And when should I move to the next seat? How should I make that decision when one seat is outgrown and my child's ready to progress? That Ultimate Car Seat Guide is available in both English and Spanish, and you can just go on there directly. You can put in your child's initials and their age and weight and get all the information specific to that age and weight, or you can just go in and do it as a general website where you just look at kids who are rear-facing, forward-facing, booster age, and then into the seatbelt. So if you go to safekids.org, you can just click over onto Ultimate Car Seat Guide, or you can go there directly at www.ultimatecarseatguide.org.
Okay, so both of those websites, folks, are .org, which is the organization, safekids.org, and then, of course, with Safe Kids, there's a link and a tab to Ultimate Car Seat Guide, or you can go to ultimatecarseatguide.org. So, Lori, just one final question, and what is your and the organization, the Safe Kids organization's opinion about handing down car seats. I have my own theory about that and my own ideas about that, but what have official studies shown in the past, or do you have any?
Yeah, I do, and I'm really glad you asked that. You know, in a short interview, it's hard to get everything that parents need to know in, so that's a great question, though. Hand-me-down seats are, they're okay if, and I say that with a big capital IF, if they've never been in a crash, if they are not expired and there's a date of expiration on every car seat, if you know the owner of that seat. So maybe it's your sister or your sister-in-law or your next-door neighbor, and they can tell you, this car seat has never been in a crash and I have all the parts to it. I can give you the instructions. I can validate that it has never, ever been in a crash. Once you can do that, then possibly. But let me just say this. Car seats in the U.S. are very inexpensive. You can get a car seat that meets the standard, the FMV SS 213, for as little as $70. And that's one that goes for, you can use it for 6, 7, 8 years, depending on the manufacturer. That's a pretty cheap investment per year to keep your child safe. But many times we hear from families who tell us, I can't afford a car seat, but they've got the newest cell phone, or they have a smartphone. And not to make a judgment on that, because a lot of people, do that for their work or whatever. But for the most part, the technology in these seats, even the inexpensive ones, change on a regular basis. They're upgraded to have side impact protection. There's flammability protection built into the seat pad itself. The harnesses sometimes are done with a quick adjust as opposed to having to take them out and rethread them. And so just like with cars, we have in the cars where we tell you to use these top tethers, we have on the back of every car seat the tether, and then in the car we have 3 tether anchors. Now, I was just in a Chevy Traverse last week. It had 6 tether anchors. So anywhere you sat your child in the car, you could have access to a tether. So the upgraded protection that you get from some of the newer products is well worth it when you look at keeping your child safe in a crash, which is a very, very violent activity. A lot of energy generated there. We want the car to take the energy. We want the car seat to take the energy and deflect it away from the child.
Excellent, excellent. Lori Walker, car seat expert at Safe Kids Worldwide. Lori, I am on with you with regard to the small investment for the newer technology. In my opinion, no hand-me-downs. Buy the real deal. Get the latest and the greatest technology to match the automobiles that are being made today. Lori, car seat expert for Safe Kids. Again, those websites, folks, safekids.org. and a tab to ultimatecarseatguide.org, or you can go to ultimatecarseatguide.org. Lori, thank you so much for joining us on Car Clinic today. I really appreciate the input.
Well, thanks an awful lot, and I really appreciate the opportunity. You take care. Be safe.
That's really super that she would spend the time with us. And folks, I hope that you took away from my time with Lori here and now will put into action, at least perhaps go to the safekids.org website and look around there and learn. You never know what's going to happen when you're driving an automobile, and we all like to think that we are the great drivers, and I can tell you, I always thought I was a better driver than the average. I probably am, in as much as, and I say that not tongue-in-cheek, but I say that because I'm so aware of the mechanical aspects of my automobile, the tire vibrations and the road surface and the tire pressure, and because it's just my nature. But I can tell you, for the most part, if you're going from point A to point B and you put the key in, as long as you have fuel in it, you put the key in and turn and it fires and runs and you go. I mean, really, that's what a lot of car owners, that's all they really want. And it took me a long time to learn that. That why wouldn't someone have an affinity for the vehicle that he or she drives? Name your car and all those sorts of things. But that's just not the case universally. But when it comes to protecting your loved ones and your children, then you're obligated to do that. And I just think that for me, it's a real privilege to have someone like Lori on the air to come in and spend her time on a Saturday to share information with you that could perhaps save your kid's life. And I will tell you this, and not to get into this story too deeply, but years ago we had Safe Kids, had a gentleman who was the West Coast Divisional Director who was driving into Las Vegas with his baby in the back seat, he and his wife. This is a true story. And it was hot, and the air conditioner had gone out on his vehicle. They had the windows down. The baby was crying, and and on and on and on. And finally, so the mother turned around to take the clothes off the baby, or at least some of the clothes, because they had too much on. And it's okay if the baby's in the diaper. I mean, we've all done that. Anyway, bottom line, it was hot, and they'd been on the road for a long time. They had tried to get the air conditioner fixed, but they were just coming into Las Vegas, actually, and there are a couple of, on the interstate there's some pretty high ravines there, and this car, he fell asleep momentarily. The baby was not in the seatbelt, not buckled in, and he woke up upside down in the ditch and lost his child. And he told that story on the air. And it was all I could do not to break up, and because just to think about what happened. And then from then on, he joined safekids.org to try to educate someone that you never really think about something until it hits you personally. So I thank you for tuning in this hour. I thank Lori Walker for sharing that, safekids.org. And I think it's pretty cool that you can go to Ultimate Car Seat Guide, ultimatecarseatguide.org, and you can put in the age and weight of your child and know, when you're supposed to go from the front facing, back facing to the front facing, and go from a car seat to a car belt. Really, really cool. More Car Clinic coming up next hour. If your local station does carry, or you can go to watchbobbylive.com. I'm Bobby Likis. I thank you so much for tuning in. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, recently we had a for-sale on a 2014 Nissan Frontier in the shop. The customer said the vehicle wasn't running well, nothing specific, but fuel mileage was down and the vehicle had lost its zip. As he explained, it's a manual transmission, so I know what it should feel like, and it's just not right. The suggested maintenance and ignition service were up to date, and there were no trouble codes. So what was the problem? The answer lies with today's complex engines. While the maintenance schedule was on time, engines today are prone to carbon deposit formation, and fuel system cleaning is a key piece of the puzzle. Professional fuel system cleaning is an option, but a less expensive alternative is the use of a pour-in fuel system cleaner. We use Berryman B12 Chem Tool in the shop. It features Berryman's proprietary high-energy solvent, or HEST technology. We poured a bottle of Berryman B12 Chem Tool into the Frontier, and after just one tank of gas, MPG improved and the vehicle regained its zippiness. For more information, drive to BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the Kulseford section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the Kulseford section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's vehicle protection program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Count down to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome to this hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Also, our 888 number is always open, 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546. So, yeah, now is a good time. So, are there any dumb car questions? And the answer is yes. No, wait, before you go, oh, I knew he was going to say that. No, the only dumb car question, folks, is the one not asked. Because if you don't know, then is it dumb to ask and reach out? Well, the answer is no. You can put your head in the sand, but that will get you nothing. And you go into the service shop and someone starts to tell you about, well, yeah, your water pump is leaking and you need to put the belts and hoses in the thermostat and your bill's going to be, $1,200 or $500 or whatever it is. And you say, well, what could I have done to not be in this position? Therein lies the real education assets that I can bring to you. 888 Car Clinic. This segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by Power Frame Grid Technology, folks. Batteries containing Power Frame grids are engineered with confidence to ensure you trust them and can start after start. Look for the Power Frame logo on the outside and you'll know that you're getting true strength on the inside of your next new battery. Learn more at powerframe.com. Ask your car questions at Bobby Likis, 888 Car Clinic when I come back.
Your car and your life have a lot of moving parts. And your car's battery is what keeps it all going. Here's something to keep in mind. While all batteries may look the same on the outside, it's what's inside that matters. So be sure to choose a battery with Power Frame technology inside. It's stronger, more durable, and keeps you going longer. That means you can count on a battery with Power Frame to be there start after start. Here's another reason to feel good about choosing a battery with Power Frame inside. It's manufactured using the latest sustainable processes. You're moving fast, and you don't want anything to slow you down, especially an unreliable battery. So the next time you need to replace your car's battery, make sure you choose one with Power Frame technology inside. Look for Power Frame on the outside and know there's true strength on the inside.
Super Chips performance tuners are a great way to increase vehicle power without even turning a wrench. But don't take my word for it. Four Corners 4x4 owner Jason Klemitsky runs Super Chips flashpack programmers in a number of different vehicles. According to Jason, there are a lot of choices in aftermarket tuning, but we've never had a reason to look outside the Super Chips family. And now, through October 15th, enter the Power Up and Win promotion. You could win wheel tire packages, cold air intakes, and other great prizes. Learn more at superchips.com.
Did you know that birthday parties help build confidence in kids?
Yeah. Did you know that giving kids less sugar before bedtime helps them sleep better?
Oh, totally. Did you know that friendly kids have more friends?
Everybody knows that.
Hey, guys, did you know that most people think they're using the right car seat for their kid, but they're not?
I didn't know that.
Parents who really know it all know for sure that their child is in the right car seat at the right age and size. Visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat to make sure your child is protected. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at lendingtree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Okay, let's get started with this hour. We're going to go to Missouri and take a call from Bob. But before we do, I would invite each and every one of you that might have a car question or just want to talk cars to give us a shout. We have, I guess, well, we couldn't call her a trainee, but she is a trainee. Hannah is in the house, and Miss Jan is also here on her own to help out Hannah. So when you call, normally I would say call Miss Jan, and Miss Jan's in the house. She's just not on the headset. So on the headset is Hannah. So tell Hannah hello and give her a big welcome to the Car Clinic Network team at 888-227-2546. To that end, I want to reach out to Sydney, Australia, to Frank. And Frank, welcome you to join in Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I don't know how the weather is in Sydney, but feel free to give us a call. I'm not even sure the 888 number would work, but you can certainly in our chat room say hello through Jonathan there. And then before I go to Bob, and Bob, we're coming up next to you, a special heart-to-heart reach out to Bill Bentliff. Bill, it's great to have you in the house. How have you been? And folks, I'm speaking with Major Bill here, who was our producer for years, did a great job, decided that he wanted to go back to Arkansas. I'll tell a quick story after I talk with Bob about Bill, that he got so excited one Thanksgiving. You're going to want to stick around and hear this story, because he decided he was just going to leave everybody here because he got so excited. But first, let's go to Missouri and talk with Bob. Bob, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Yes, sir. Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
The last 3 or 4 times I've filled my truck, it does not want to start and run. It sounds like it's either flooded or not getting fuel. It'll die 3 or 4 times before I can get it off the lot. Once it picks up, it won't do it again until I fill it again. My dealer said he never heard of nothing like it.
Well, here's a point. If you know how to make things happen, in other words, here's a challenge with cars. The worst, I guess, the most difficult repair that we have is that of an erratic behavior, where a car runs like Attila the Hun for our customers, and then runs like Miss Manners for us. So in this case, you know that every time you fill your car, I mean, I presume that happens every time, Bob, but you know that the engine...
Every time, sir. Well, and since it done it the first time, which is about 4 times ago, since it done it the first time, it's done it every time I fill it.
Okay. So I'm surprised the check engine light, what year is it?
It's a 2010 F-150 4.6 engine.
I'm surprised the check engine light is not on, and here's what I take away from that. The EVAP system, the evaporative control emissions system, has a ruptured diaphragm or a solenoid that is stuck open, because what's happening when you fill the automobile, I mean, I don't know this, but it's the only thing that makes sense. If the engine has ignition and compression and fuel, it's going to run. Okay, well, we know you've got a good engine because you've got a good running truck, and we know that it was okay when you stopped to get fuel. And the only thing that's happened is you take the cap off and you fill it. Well, what happens when it reaches the top level? It will overflow. Of course, that's why the nozzle kicks off. Well, when it kicks off, that still reaches a certain overflow, and what my diagnostics are, and what my educated opinion is, that raw fuel is getting into the lungs of the engine through the emission system. So, Bob, here's what I want you to do. Next time that you stop to fill up, don't fill up.
and you know how many gallons it's going to take. I mean, how many average gallons do you put in? I mean, how often do you stop at what point? A quarter tank, less than a quarter, eighth of a tank?
I tried it all the way. I tried it when it was almost empty, and then I let it get half full and half empty, and I tried again, and same thing. It wouldn't start and run.
Okay, but I want to go to the other side of that. Not how much fuel is in it, how much fuel you put in it. And you always top it off, right?
When it clicks off, sir, I take the nozzle out. I don't.
All right. That's topping off. All right, that's not topping off as you say, but here's what I want you to do the next time. You know about how many gallons it's going to take if it's half empty or if it's, a quarter of a tank.
Sure.
Okay, so don't click it off. Put fuel in that vehicle, and you know it's going to take 10 gallons. When you get to 8 gallons, stop. You stop. And put the cap on it and crank it up and see if it happens. And what you're going to find is that unless there's an egregious leak in the evaporative system, and I wouldn't think this would be the fact. So, see, here's what I think is happening, Bob. I think that when the fuel runs up to the neck, there's a vent in the top of the neck. Of course, it has to be to let air out of the tank as you put fuel in it, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what happens in all cars when you fill it up and it reaches that click stage, it's because it's like regurgitated. It gets to the top and clicked, and then it puts a pressure on the pump nozzle, and the nozzle automatic shut off, and that's what it is, an automatic shut off. So the only thing that's common in all of your descriptions here is the fact that you're doing an automatic shut off, which means that you are allowing the level of gas to come up the fill nozzle. We don't want to do that. We want it to all go in the tank, but we don't want to fill the tank until it reaches the choke threshold, or until it reaches that.
I got you.
Okay, so I want you to, let's say that it holds 10 gallons. Put 8 gallons in it and stop. Cap it off, get in the truck, and drive it away. I guarantee you it's going to drive and ride just like it did when you stopped the car, because...
I'll sure try it.
Oh, yeah. You understand what I'm saying here?
Yes, sir, exactly.
Okay, then if that's the case, then you go to the dealer and say, hey, when I top off my tank, it floods the engine. It has to be flooding the engine, because it certainly is not a flooding means an overabundance of fuel. Running out of gas is the opposite. Well, you know it's not out of gas because it wasn't out of gas when you stopped.
Sure.
Okay, my friend.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So that's interesting. I can feel the wheels turning in my head. Yeah. Okay, so let's get back to. Oh, and take your calls. Hannah will take your call at 888 Car Clinic, if you so choose. 888-227-2546. So we're having Thanksgiving dinner here. Miss Jan, you remember this. Is she still in the house? Yeah, there you are. You remember this, don't you? A story I'm going to tell? So here we are, all of our crew, having our annual Thanksgiving dinner just outside the studio inside our shop. And by the way, folks, this studio is located inside a 15,000 square foot automotive service shop. So the two businesses that we operate are, one, if you call this a business, this is if you call this work, and it can be, 888 Car Clinic, 888-227-2546, and you can get your question in. But I'm going to share this story with you. And Bill, if you're embarrassed, that's just too bad. Nothing you can do about it, because you're in Arkansas, and I'm here and on the Gulf Coast. Of course, you may be in a more safe position given the fact that we've got Nate heading our way. But I'll knock on wood and say that Nate's not going to be a biggie. But so here we are on Thanksgiving. We're enjoying all of the foods and everything that you could possibly think of, and just everyone bring in a dish and lots of food, and we're giving thanks. And then just before we start, or maybe it was during the meal, our COO, our Chief Operating Officer, I'll call her because she is that, Diane, gets up to say a few words. And so she's right in the middle of, starting to give her, we sure thank you, and all the things that you say when you really care about people, then she does. And Bill's wife walks up and taps Diane on the shoulder. And Diane tries to ignore her because she, and what's so important? And finally, she stopped and she turned to Bill's wife and said, well, what is it? Well, we have to leave and we have to go now. So she said, well, okay, but we just started. So Bill Bentliff was in the bathroom because he was having a heart attack, real time here. Now this was at what, Jan, 1 o'clock or so here? About 1 o'clock or so, 12:31, something like that, on Thanksgiving or the day before Thanksgiving. Yeah, the day before Thanksgiving, the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And the bottom line, because we had our little company party there, the bottom line, that was about 12:30, 1 o'clock. By 4 p.m., they had already performed surgery on Bill Bentliff. And when I got up to see him, he said, well, look, he says, I want to get back in this afternoon. This is a true story. I'm going to get back in this afternoon and take care of those little scripts and those the production of the spots. I said, no, Major, that's something you're not going to do. You're going to stay right here in the Sacred Heart Hospital and enjoy. So it's great to hear from Bill. He is with us today at WatchBobbyLive.com. And I really appreciate it, and I had to tell that story because that's been years ago, and obviously what they did at the hospital worked. I think they put a stent in his, yeah, I think they did. A stent? Was it that? 2 stents? 2 or 3? How many, Jan? 2 or 3? 2 or 3. Wow. Well, Bill, you can answer that question. Okay, folks, it's time for your calls, 888-227-2546. And also, Alejandro Grau is from General Motors, and he is on the phone right now. When we come back, we're going to hear from him about what's going on at the latest car show from General Motors, and your calls at 888-227-2546. We'll be back. Recently, we had the chance to talk tires with John Robinson, Senior Communications Specialist for General Tire. Our topic was the use of nitrogen versus air. While there are definitely some benefits to using nitrogen, the conditions must be right. Let's hear from John.
Nitrogen is ideal if you can get the perfect conditions. If you're using nitrogen under not perfect conditions, then you're still going to have air and moisture inside that tire, and it's really not going to give you the benefit. So under ideal conditions, nitrogen is going to give you better balance and better performance for the tire. There's nothing wrong with air, but nitrogen, if you can get those ideal conditions, is really going to give you the utmost ultimate performance of those products.
General Tire's Grabber HTS 60 provides a perfect synergy of comfort, durability, and performance for your light truck or SUV. The Grabber HTS 60 Stability Tread features a flatter footprint, optimized tread pattern stiffness, and improved tread compound. The result is up to 25% more tread life than the original Grabber HTS. Learn more at GeneralTire.com. Time to go to our Car Clinic inbox. Jim in Indianapolis writes, Bobby, I have a 2010 Ford Explorer, and it's taking more than 10 minutes for the engine to warm up, whereas it used to take 6. I hear you guys talking about Stant thermostats. What makes them so special? Thanks, Jim. You probably heard me talking about the Superstat in particular. Superstat is a premium-grade thermostat that performs better and lasts longer. The Superstat features heavy-duty springs that help return it to a closed position to prevent cold running. A larger heat motor helps control engine temperature, while a heavier gauge steel housing gives it a high-end feel. Just hold one yourself, and you'll feel the difference. The Superstat is American-made and comes with a limited lifetime warranty. You definitely don't want to compromise when replacing your Explorer's engine thermostat. The Superstat helps maintain proper air-to-fuel ratio, which maximizes fuel economy, keeps tailpipe emissions in check, and provides optimal performance. Learn more about the Superstat at your local auto parts store or at Stant.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Great program today. Call with your car questions at 888 Car Clinic
On the Car Clinic hotline with us now is Chevrolet's Alejandro Grau, reporting from the 2017 Orange County International Auto Show. Alejandro, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Thank you so much, Bobby. Happy to be here.
Chevrolet has a broad portfolio heading into 2018. Share with our Car Clinic listeners and viewers what you're most excited to show off there in California this week.
I think the thing we're most excited about this year is the 2018 Chevrolet Traverse. It's been a mainstay SUV for us for a long time, but it's fully redesigned interior, exterior this year, and we have it out here on the show floor. Beautiful car. It's for the go-getters, the adventure seekers, those families that are always in motion. It's a great SUV.
Alejandro, is the crossover segment still as hot as it has been? And tell us more about the Chevrolet offerings in that category.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of those segments that continues to grow more and more and more. And, you know, before I felt it was always about taking as many people as possible, but now it's more and more about how much, cubic feet of space are we going to fit in so that people can go on their adventures. So other than the Traverse, we also have the 2018 Chevy Equinox that was also fully redesigned this year. And that's a great one for, smaller families, seats up to 5, but you got up to 63 cubic feet of space, 10 active safety features that make anybody feel comfortable on the road. We're just finding that our customers really like to get into these vehicles.
The technology, just touch base on our listeners and share with us the latest technology that this segment carries.
Absolutely. So the technology is one of those things that I think most people are asking questions about. So not only do we have things like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but we're also looking at those safety and autonomous features such as low-speed forward automatic braking is coming as an available feature on both of these SUVs. Lane Keep Assist is also coming as a standard, and this new system that we've been using this year called Surround Vision. It actually gives you a 360-degree top-down view of your vehicle, great for getting into tight spaces and knowing just how close you're getting to other vehicles.
Very good. We're on the hotline with Alejandro Grau, Chevrolet product specialist. And Alejandro, the Chevrolet Bolt EV is now on sale nationwide. What's new for the Bolt EV in 2018, and how do you expect this vehicle will be received on a national level?
So we're already seeing really great response. So we've sold over 12,000 vehicles since launching the Bolt EV last year in Los Angeles and up in Washington, and it continues to sell great. We're getting tons of good feedback. The 2018 we haven't been discussing just yet, but keep your eyes and ears open for later this year at LA Auto Shows and Detroit Auto Shows about what's coming next for the Bolt EV. But it's one of those vehicles, 238 miles of range. We continue to get amazing feedback on that specific range, but also just the comfort and a really fun car to drive is what we've been hearing from our customers.
One last question. Keeping teen drivers safe behind the wheel seems to be a growing concern for parents, and I know there are a lot of manufacturers offer certain products for this. What technologies is Chevrolet offering to help parents stay connected with their teen drivers?
Yeah, this is obviously one of those things that we all remember as we were getting our licenses that our parents would jump on us about. But we have what we call our teen driver technology. And what that teen driver technology does is you're actually able to program one of your key fobs so that when your teen is driving the car, it'll actually catalog what are their top speeds. Are they following too closely? Is there too many safety features kicking in? It's a really great little technology that is now almost becoming standard across most of our Chevy lineup.
Well, it sounds very interesting. I'm not sure that I would have agreed with all of that technology when I was growing up and doing whatever it was that I shouldn't have been doing that we've all have done. But the bottom line...
Absolutely. That was always my concern.
Yeah, for sure. Alejandro Grau, product specialist, Chevrolet. Alejandro, it was great to have you on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. One final question, a website where we can get more information.
Just head over to Chevrolet.com and you'll be able to see all of the most brand new vehicles that we're coming out with and where you can find them, and go ahead and build out your dream vehicle and get that taken care of for you.
Perfect. Alejandro Grau, Chevrolet. Alejandro, thanks for joining us on Car Clinic today.
Thank you so much, Bobby. You have a great day.
That's really funny. Something where a tracker, talk about a tracker in your car and how fast you went and if alarms went off in your automobile. So yeah, I'm not so sure that as I said at my age I would have cared for that. But the bottom line is it's all about safety, and I can tell you every accident that I've ever been in has been my fault. And I say that I'm a little bit ashamed, but because I was either going too fast or just didn't have my car under control. If I had had my car under control, I wouldn't have had an accident. 888 Car Clinic, what about you?
How many accidents have you ever been in? How many accidents have you ever walked away from? That's a great question. So I'll ask you, and I'd love to hear from you at 888 Car Clinic. Miss Hannah will take your call at 888-227-2546, and you can share your walk away from an accident story. And I'd love to hear your walk away. I've got one that I will share with you that I think will probably be I would win dummy of the day. I can tell you this from what I did years ago on a drag strip with an automobile, and I'll share that with you. Perhaps if you share with me one of your stories at you laugh, Fabio, but it was the dumbest thing I've ever done. But I didn't intend for it to start out that way, the way it happened. And yes, I did crash, and I crashed at 130 miles an hour. But there's more to the story than that. And I live to walk away, you know. Why? You know, I'll tell you, someone more powerful than I was the reason I walked away from that one. Folks, this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When it comes to safety, and we're speaking of safety here, there's nothing more important than your vehicle's brakes. So who do you trust? The professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts, who will help you choose the brakes that are an exact fit for your vehicle with brands that you trust, like Brake Best. Remember these: Brake Best Select and my favorite, Wagner Thermal Quiet. O'Reilly Auto Parts has the brake parts and accessories you need at guaranteed low prices. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. And that's a fact. 888-227-2546. Here's a question from Frank in Australia. Yes, that's right. Frank is watching today at Watch Bobby Live. I'll welcome Frank in. Thank you. Tell your friends about us. And by the way, Frank and everyone, if you'd like to see operations, triage, if you'd like to see operations in cars and engines and parts being operated on the table, you can do that at our Pinterest. And our Pinterest board in the shop. If you go to pinterest.com/Bobby Likis, that's Likis, Likis, you'll love us. So if you go to pinterest.com/Bobby Likis, you will see in the shop board, you will see where we have taken pictures of timing belt replacements on Lexus cars and Toyotas and Hondas, and we show why it's important and what happened to this car, and water pump leaks and intake manifold leaks and intake valve carbon deposits, and what is one of our favorite boards is a ring gear and pinion install that our master ASE lead certified technician Johnny Bars and he did, of course, all of the physical work, but he and I collaborated and put together this differentials for this Ford four-wheel drive, front and rear differentials. We changed the gear set, and as I've said before, installation of ring gear and pinion sets in automobiles or trucks is an art form. And it is a very precise art form. So for all of you techies out there and your technicians, quote unquote, who are into the computers and the reprogramming of cars, come and do a ring gear and pinion with me and let me see how much you know about the mechanics of an automobile. I would challenge many of you to even consider doing that. And why would you break a differential in? Because of the phosphorus and metal coating that's on the surface of the new ring gear and pinion. So for the first 200 to 500 miles, you have to be moderate with that vehicle, and you should change the differential fluid following those 200 to 500 miles. Back to Frank in Australia. Frank's question in our chat room, and folks, you know, it's a good time now for you to get in, 888-227-2546. So Frank says that his dealer, and Toyota dealer and owner's manual state that he should change his coolant every 10 years. 10, really? Now, number one, I think that Frank is mistaken. I would, Frank, challenge you to go back and get your owner's manual, because I don't know of any owner's manual that even addresses maintenance services to be performed beyond 100,000 miles. Certainly not beyond 10 years, just because of the average ownership of an automobile. That's way beyond the realm of belief. But let's just say that they're speaking to 100,000 miles and you drove 10,000 miles a year. Now you're talking 10 years. So if so I really think, and folks, if you drive a Toyota and you have read your owner's manual lately, let me know if I'm mistaken here. But according to Frank, his owner's manual and his dealer says change the coolant every 10 years. Number one, wrong. Let me just say this. All coolant is ethylene glycol in its base. Different coolants have different additives based on the specifications of the manufacturer of that automobile. And there are different makeups of coolants as well. Audi has its own coolant, Porsche. I want to make sure that you all know that. But in the big scheme of things, it is not the coolant that goes bad, just like it's not the oil that goes bad in your engine or your lubricant in your transmission. It's the additive packages that are sacrificial. And to that end, the diesel engines have a sacrificial additive that coats the walls of the water jacket side of a cylinder, because the air bubbles in a diesel engine will cause the air bubbles in a diesel engine cooling system will allow the knocking of the piston as it comes down and the diesel fuel being burned to crack or split the cylinder wall. So it is important to change the coolant every 5 years, they say, or not every 5 years, every 500,000 miles. For a diesel truck, that's about 1.5 years. So for your car, the choke point would be 50,000 miles. My advice would be 30 to 35,000 miles to change the coolant. Why? Because the additive package goes bad, the pH factor goes bad, goes north or south, and when the pH gets above 10, it etches the intake manifold aluminum and heads aluminum. When it gets below 4, it creases, it's cast iron rust. So my advice, 35,000 miles, and I'll be back after this short commercial break. We recently performed a brake job on a 2012 Ford Escape, and while there are several critical parts to an effective, safe, and lasting brake job, you should always start with a thorough cleaning. Using a quality aerosol brake cleaner will ensure that the surfaces are clean and residue-free. Our choice is Berryman's Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner, the first VOC-compliant chlorinated brake cleaner available in over 20 years. Berryman's Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner is the strongest carb-compliant brake cleaner on the market. It effortlessly dissolves brake fluid, brake dust, grease, motor oil, power steering fluid, and other harmful contaminants. And be sure to thoroughly clean both sides of the brake rotor and all metal-to-metal mounting points before you apply the silicone brake lube to sliders and contact points. Use Berryman's Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner to remove any oily fingerprints or other contaminants from the friction material faces. If left untreated, these impurities could lead to poor brake performance and shorter brake life. Learn more about Berryman's Chlorinated Brake Parts Cleaner at BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive. That we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags? And of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thanks for tuning in every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time. That's 10 till noon Eastern Time. And I say that because in the great state of New York, and specifically in Manhattan and New York City, where Westwood One studios are, and our great friend there, that Angel, who is making sure that we are on the satellite and reaching all of our affiliates across the nation. That's just the center of the automotive, we're the center of the automotive universe. That's the center of the broadcast universe. Make no mistake about it. If you don't believe it, just call anyone from New York and ask them, where's the center of the broadcast industry? Angel, is it not New York, or is it? And if he's listening, great. I'm sure he is, because during the time that he is monitoring our electronics to make sure that we get on the satellite so that you can exchange and hear our program, he's monitoring probably 100 other programs. He is one busy guy and has been for a long time. So let's go back to, well, first, I'll invite you to call. Hannah will take your call at 888-227-2546. That's 888 Car Clinic. So Frank asked from Australia, when I gave my opinion about coolant, and again, if you just tuned in, Frank's Toyota dealer, and according to Frank, his owner's manual, which I disagree with that. I think he needs to reread the manual. So Frank, do that, because I don't see any manual that says at 10 years you're supposed to change coolant. I've never seen anything like that. But let's just say that it's not about the 10,000 miles a year times 10 years. That's 100,000 miles, because I believe that's what the owner's manual talks more to, is mileage, than it does in age, with coolants and fluids and liquids and things like that. But Frank's secondary question, follow-on question, was, okay, what if my car is sitting for a year? Do I need to worry? Do I count that in the time? And the answer in reality would be no, because when a car sits, it doesn't get hot or cold, or get fuel in the fuel system, or electrolysis doesn't set in the cooling system. Because let's specifically talk to the cooling system. When the fans come on to cool your engine, the fans have power and a ground. That's a given. Otherwise, they wouldn't run. Sometimes the ground is not adequate, and when that happens, electrolysis sets in. And even if the ground is adequate, you can still have electrolysis, and electrolysis is voltage that gets into the cooling system. That's right. In fact, you can take an old cooling system, well, old being 30, 40,000, 50,000 miles, a year old or 2 years old, and run a DC voltage test, and you will find that it does have voltage in the coolant. And if that voltage exceeds 0.1 volts or 100 millivolts, if it exceeds that, like 0.25 would be way over the top, then that will destroy the interior of the rubber hoses. And if you've ever grabbed a radiator hose and squeezed it and had a crunching feeling on the inside, that's a perfect example of electrolysis that has changed the molecular structure of the inside of the hoses and the water pump seals and the heater core, yada yada, and go on and on. So I'm just saying that the sacrificial additives that control the protection level of coolant the pH factor that controls the degeneration of the aluminum or the rusting of cast iron. The sweet spot is 8, just like you have a swimming pool. And when the pH is below or above that, your eyes burn. Same thing for a car's cooling system. So just remember that the sweet spot is an 8 level. So you want to keep it there, because if you get it above 9, the aluminum will etch. And if you've ever taken the radiator cap off of a car and seen like what looks like aluminum floating on the top, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. So anyway, I hope that clears up Frank's question with regard to the corrosion factor of cooling system. And let's go to, and Frank's calling in from Australia? Really? Well, okay, let's put him on the air then. That's pretty cool. And Chisholm, we'll come back and take your call as well. So let's go to Australia and take a call from Frank, who is tuned in to watch Bobby live. Frank, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Nice to have you in the house.
Hello, Bobby.
Hi, sir. How are you?
I just double-checked the manual, and it says it's 10 years. 120 months. It's a weird thing, isn't it?
It is. And you know, Frank, what that tells me is that here's the bottom line. What is the manufacturer's warranty of the cooling system? This is really...
well, we have a 3-year warranty here.
3-year warranty, right. So
100,000 kilometers.
Well, which is 60,000 miles. So let's think about this.
That's right, yeah.
And this is a little facetious, but let me say this. If you will, and this is a joke, but it reminds me of the warranty that you've got there that you're talking about with the 10-year change of the coolant. By the time 10 years rolls around, if you had not changed the coolant in your vehicle, it'd be too late, because there'll be corrosion, there'll be damage done, you lose a water pump. I mean, all those things happen in less than 10 years. Now, having said that, if I sold you the car and I say, I'm going to guarantee this car for 3 years or 60,000 miles, but if you pay me an extra $500, I'll tell you that this should last forever. Well, the bottom line, nothing lasts forever. So it's a joke, really, that to think that someone, a manufacturer, would even put that in a book. I think that's just there to satisfy some obligation. But I can tell you, if you wait 10 years to change the coolant in your Toyota, you will have replaced a water pump or a radiator or the hoses or all the above. Granted?
I agree. I think it's a servicing tactic to just keep the cost down for the customer. But long term, like you said, it's going to eat a heater core or something.
Well, to that end, Frank, you say keep the cost down, but it's not. I think it's more marketing. And let's think about this. Ford Motor Company came out 3 years ago with 150,000 mile transmission fluid. 150,000 miles.
Right.
Okay. Now, how long do they guarantee the transmission? 50,000 miles. So it really is like me telling you that you don't have to brush your teeth or have your teeth cleaned or have any kind of exams if you take my special potion. If you'll send me $9.95 and $15 shipping, you may live forever. Yeah, you may, or you may not. But you know, and again, I'm being facetious, but you and I know if you're a car owner, let me break it down for you and for everyone. Let's take a gallon of cooking oil and put it on a stove at 200 degrees in a pot. Well, you know, Frank, nothing's going to really cook very well or very fast at 200 degrees. So let's leave that pot on the stove for an hour. No, let's leave it for a week. No, let's leave it for a month. Now, you know where I'm going here. At the end of a month or even before then, that 1 gallon of cooking oil at 200 degrees is going to turn to muck, and we more than likely would have to throw away not only the oil, but the pan as well, for obvious reasons.
I agree.
Well, 200 degrees, I mean, the cooling system, the fan doesn't come on until it reaches 220 degrees in some cars. So an average temp is running about 205 to 220, so that really cooks. And to that end, Frank, I was the beta tester for a company that made a product called IntelliStick. IntelliStick was designed as a an oil system monitor of the real oil itself, so you could check the water content in the oil. And I sent my every Sunday when I drove by, and I had this unit that I put on my car with a magic dipstick, and every Sunday, and it was a 2006 Mini Cooper supercharged, and or turbocharged, supercharged. And every time I would pull it into the garage on Sunday night, I would download the results of that week's testing. I sent that to IntelliStick in California. After 15, I think it was, 5,000, after 5,000 miles it was, they sent me back a report. And I said, well, this is not mine. It can't be, because it was like for the hours used, and I knew that I'd only gone 5,000 miles, so I couldn't have had 1,000 hours. So, or whatever that number was. Here's the point. Their report, I was thinking of the miles, which means turn the key on, drive 5,000 miles, turn the key off. Or, you know, at 5 miles or 10 miles here and 20 miles there and 100 miles there. What I hadn't counted on was they were taking their test not when I had the key on and running. They were taking their test when the oil reached 110 degrees, and then when it went up to 200 or whatever it would, and then came back to 110 degrees. Well, you crank the car up, the engine gets hot, you do your mileage, you come back, you turn it off, the engine oil is still cooking. I didn't even think about it. I mean, as much as I profess to know about cars, I didn't even think about that. But that ongoing cooking, you know, anything that you bring up the temperature, it doesn't go up and then come right down instantaneously. It has to plateau and then fade off and cool off. So to that end, every fluid in your car goes through the heating and cooling cycle, and it is that cycle that destroys that cooling and our lubrication product. You got it?
Well, in saying that, would you go by distance or time with coolant?
I'm sorry, repeat that.
Would you go by distance or time with coolants?
Distance, I would say 35,000 to 50,000 miles. Years, 2 years. 24 months, that's it. And to that end, we have a program here in our business, Frank, some 46 years, called pre-repair, which it was a standing for prevent repair. And we have 2 tiers of protection. And when we service a cooling system on a car that has less than 36,000 miles, we will put a fixed amount of money to protect the parts that need to be replaced if it have to lose a water pump forever. And that, but you got to get it in below 36,000 for tier 1. The tier 2, which is 50 cents on the dollar, is at the 75,000 miles or lower. So for all of our customers, in fact, just last week we saved a customer $750 on a water pump, and the water pump had 49,000 miles. And the car we had serviced had at 34,000. So rather than the customer paying the $840 bill, he paid $140, and our protection plan paid $700. Hey, I've got other calls, but I really appreciate you calling from Australia, and I look forward to you tuning in again. And feel free to be a regular caller.
Well, thanks for taking the call. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, that's pretty cool. Let's go from Australia to Florida and take Chisholm's call now. Chisholm, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, how you doing today?
Great, thank you. Thanks for holding.
No problem. I have got a 2001 F-250 with a V10 in it. It's got 240,000 miles on it.
Okay.
And out of nowhere, my overdrive decided to quit shifting into overdrive when I was on the interstates.
Right.
Shifted through all the gears, the rest of the way, fine, no problem. I took it, had it diagnosed. They told me it was the button on the end of my column shift lever. I replaced that, nothing. So I tore the steering column apart, found out that the wires would actually been broken, replaced the entire shift deal. Now the button stays on, but it'll shift through into overdrive, but it doesn't want to kick out of overdrive when selection.
What I would suggest, Chisholm, did you repair the wires or replace the wire harness?
No, I replaced the entire wire harness back to the connection.
And so since you've done that, the system doesn't work the way it did originally.
No, it almost works in reverse.
Well, here's what I would here's what I'd recommend. The first thing I would do is I would check the part number, because believe it or not, if you got an 01 F-250 and it was made on a Wednesday, and I've got an 01 F-250 off the same assembly line made 2 hours after yours, it's possible the manufacturer could have changed the wiring in midstream, because that's where parts, whether you have a suffix on a part number or not. And I give you an example. Let's say the part number was A123X, and then we get a A123X-A, which means that there was another A123X, but it's a second generation because Ford Motor Company changed something along the way. Parts specifically, and that's not necessarily as true for wiring harnesses, but I will say this: whenever we get a Chisholm, whenever we install a used engine for one of our customers that's lost an engine and we're trying to save money, most often when we get that engine, it has the sensors and the wires and what have you. If we don't use a car's factory wiring harness and it doesn't fit that engine, ultimately when we put it back together, the check engine light's on, or some cylinder doesn't work, or some other. So I'm going to say for you to go back to the drawing board. And do you have the old harness?
Yeah, I have the whole unit still.
Okay. Compare. Look at the color of wires. Look at the pin location of the wires. It could be just that pin 1 and pin 4 are crossed. You got it? Okay. All right. Hey, thanks for calling. And I wish that I could go to Fran. She's got a question about the high octane gas. Fran, I'm going to ask you to call me next week because we are out of time, and I would not have the time. And I really love it that you called. She's got an 08 Mercedes, and she has a question about high octane fuel. That is not a 30-second answer, and that's not a 30-second question. So next week we start at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central, right here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Call us back, and I will answer your questions. Folks, what a great time today on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you same time, same station, same Watch Bobby Live next week. I'm Bobby Likis. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
What can open and close hundreds of times a day on your vehicle? Your vehicle's thermostat, which performs two critical jobs: accelerates engine warm-up and regulates engine operating temperature. With so much at stake, like engine wear, fuel efficiency, emissions, and cold weather drivability, choose the thermostat professional installers choose: Stant. Stant's Superstat is premium grade and features a heavier gauge stainless steel housing and larger heat motor for optimal temperature control. For more Superstat advantages, visit stant.com. That's stant.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P-Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle loaded or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. You're